Hey, what's happening, my network marketing friends? Todd Falcone here. Welcome to this episode today. What's happening? So today, let's chat about getting people started. How do we get our new reps started? How do we do it effectively? And I'm just going to kind of run through typically what I would do with a brand new representative from the moment they get a distributor ID number to helping them get their first check. So first of all, you got to understand something. A fast start is super critical. So here's what'll happen. So if I just enrolled you into my network marketing business, probably the very first thing I'm going to do as soon as a company spits out a distributor ID number and you're in the system as a rep, I'm going to introduce you to other people that are part of the leadership team. So I'll introduce you to my sponsor. I'll introduce you to my sponsor's sponsor. I'll introduce you to my sponsor's sponsor, and so on. Probably 3, 4, 5 levels up if at all possible. And I do that for a very specific reason because it helps to essentially cement that person's decision. They just gave the company money. They're still, typically many of them are kind of unsure. It's like, oh, did I make the right decision? And here you're going and introducing them, and they're meeting another cool person. They're hearing about their background, their experience. You hear they meet another person, or they hear a different perspective. And you may have done some three-way calls perhaps in the process of bringing them in. But even if you had, I'm going to introduce them and say, welcome to the team, welcome to the team, welcome to the team. And I want to make sure I'm inviting them in and making them feel like they made the right decision. If I have a Facebook group, for example, that where we have a team member Facebook group, I'll probably put a post in that group saying, hey, welcome Janet to the team. Everybody say welcome to Janet. I'll put her in that group. And what that essentially does is make the person feel like, hey, cool, I made the right decision. I just got started and I'm feeling like I made the right decision, because sometimes people can get a little buyer's remorse. They got in, they gave the company money, they're still a little bit unsure of themselves. So that's probably the first thing I'm going to do. A few other things, and this is all like immediate, because here's the thing you got to understand. When somebody signs up, the clock is essentially ticking. It's like a countdown timer. And we don't know how long that countdown timer is for people. It might be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. But if we don't help them create success quickly, they're very likely to drop out. So fast success, fast motion, fast movement is super important. So immediate, like you don't want to be signing somebody up and then say, I'll talk to you in 2 weeks, or go do all this training and then check in with me in a week from now. I don't think that's a very good strategy. For me, it's like, let's get you introduced to some of the people on the team. Probably the next thing I'm going to do is make sure that you're armed with whatever tools that you need. So maybe you have a self-replicated website that the company provides you, help them get it set up. They get their picture on it, their little bio, that they have their site set up, and that's pretty standard for most network marketing companies, where the company gives you a website and you have to put in a couple things in there to make sure it's all set up properly. I want to make sure that they have access to whatever tool or tools that we're using to provide information to a potential prospect, so that they know what our process is or what our system is. Because here's the thing, if you're getting people that are coming to you and your team that are confused and they don't know what to do, that's not a good sign. So we want to make sure that we create a situation where they're super clear on exactly what they're going to do. So I'm in, now what? I just joined, now what do I do? Well, first of all, I introduced you to a few people on the team. Let's make sure we get you squared away with whatever tools or resources that you need to help you in building the business, and you're clear with how to use those. I will very likely direct you into some type of getting started training. There's probably some resources that your company provides, either online or offline, that maybe it's like a little getting started kit or some PDF, or it's in a Facebook group, or it's on a team website. And I don't want to necessarily send them over there and say, yeah, spend the whole day going through all this stuff. But I want to make sure that they're aware of what that stuff is, so that they have access to it. They're like, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? They know what to do. So introduce them to a few people on the team, help them get their resources kind of in alignment, and then I'll probably sit down with you and say, so talk to me. Let's talk about how big and how fast do you want to do this? Like what is your schedule? What's your weekly schedule look like? And when will you be dedicating time to this business? Because they didn't have the business yesterday. Now they've got the business. Now they've got to make room for the business in their schedule. They've got to kind of modify and change things a little bit. Maybe they've got to stop doing a few things that they were doing to make room for the business. We got to figure out what they're willing to, because some things are negotiable, some things are not negotiable. So if somebody has Tuesday night poker night with the boys, and Wednesday night they go to church, and Thursday night's date night, and Friday night or whatever it is, like some things are negotiable. Like poker night's probably negotiable. Church probably is not negotiable. Date night's not negotiable. So we got to figure out where they can make room for the business. As the enrolling sponsor, I want to know when you're going to be working the business. So if I know that you can only work the business on Tuesday nights from 6 to 9 p.m. and Saturdays from, for the first half of the day, and that's like all the time that you have available, I need to know that as the enrolling sponsor so I can make sure that I'm available to you during the times that you're potentially going to be working your business. And I also want to make sure we get your expectations in proper alignment. Like, what do you want to achieve here? Well, I want to make 10 grand a month. Well, how soon do you want to do that? This month. Well, how much time do you have to put in the business? So I've got an hour a day. Well, there's a big mismatch there. So we got to figure out what their thinking is. By the way, some people will think that, it's, I can make 10 grand. Not that you couldn't make $10,000 your first month in network marketing. It's not usual, but it can happen. But if they're saying I can put 50, 60 hours a week into this thing every single day for the, not 50, 60 hours a day, but 50, 60 hours a weekend for the next 4 weeks. Well, and they go, I want to try to make 10 grand my first month. Well, that's certainly possible if they're going full in, all in, and they're going to go blast it to the moon. But somebody who says 1 hour a day, 2 days a week, and they want to make 10 grand a month, that's not going to be, there's just a big mismatch. So we got to make sure that what they're going to be putting in is in alignment with what they want. And you got to also understand what your comp plan is enough to know what they're potentially able to create in the first, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, because again, the clock is ticking. So it's not hard. The stuff that like getting somebody started has everything to do with just getting them plugged in, helping them secure their decision, making sure that they're armed with the right kinds of tools and resources, making sure that they know where they're going to be able to access specific training and how-to information within your company organization. And then the next thing, honestly, is taking action with them. So for me, one of the best things to do and to guarantee that your new person takes action is to do calls with them, do reach outs with them. Like literally, like if I signed you up today, I'm not going to start with you 3 days from now. I'm going to start with you today. I introduced you to some of the leadership team. I showed you where the team training stuff is, helped you put your resources together. Now let's go get a couple customers and get a couple reps and see if we can create a check for you and do it as quickly as possible. So I don't typically do the let's write every person's name down that you've known since kindergarten. It's a little overwhelming. I know that like way back in the day we'd use these memory joggers, and I'm not against memory joggers. I think they're great, and it's a great way to kind of jog your memory and think about who would I, like if I wanted to put somebody in the business, who would I want to put in? I'm more of a fan of like, hey, if you were going to go into business with like 10 people and 10 people you love hanging out with, 10 people that get stuff done, that are motivated, that are driven, like who are those people? And I want to get my new person thinking about who their best people are. Because the natural thing that people do is they kind of go to, I'll talk to my broke friend or my broke family member because I'm not worried about being rejected or whatever's going to happen there. So they actually tend to avoid some of the very best people on their list. Until later. I'm a fan of let's go put your best people in on your front line and get them going immediately. The people that you love spending time with, that you care about the most, that you think that, man, if they did this, they'd crush it. Who are those people? I'll get them thinking about it, and I'll have them write down maybe a short list of 8, 10, 12, 15 people, and then I'll actually make those calls with them. If they live within a decent driving distance from my house, I would literally go to their house and spend time with them and make calls with them, do reach outs with them and be there, because this whole thing of like when you're teaching somebody to do something they've never done, especially if it's a new person, we've got to have hands-on, like tell, show, try, do. I'm going to tell you how we do this. I'm going to show you. I'm going to actually make a couple calls. I'll even demonstrate because I got prospects in front of me. I'm going to demonstrate what I do. Now you give it a try, and then I can kind of watch you what you're doing. And then I can give you some feedback, some tips, and then help you improve. Because, sending somebody out there just to do it themselves and they've never done it before, it can be pretty scary for somebody, right? I've never done this before. I was scared to death when I first started doing network marketing. Fortunately, I had somebody that was with me that helped me to make some calls to get me comfortable, and they were literally with me. You could do it on Zoom if they're across the country. You can do a lot of things, but to me, one of the most important things is getting them into action today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not 3 weeks from now, because the clock is ticking. And we don't know how long that countdown clock is. So if we can get them a couple customers, get them a couple distributors, and if your main strategy is social media, I did a video on this recently. I don't think that it's a really smart idea to only have your only strategy is just Facebook, because you don't have a lot of control over what Facebook does. I love Facebook. I love the ability to connect with people, and I would certainly recommend that if you're using social media as part of what you're doing, that you help them come up with, a launch strategy for how they're going to go out and launch their business essentially and announce it on Facebook. Hey, maybe it's a simple post or simple video. Hey guys, I'm super excited. And you can teach them how to do this. I'm super excited. I'm getting ready to launch this new business. I'm going to do a Facebook Live on Wednesday night. Let me know if you want to be there. If you do, I'll get you the information. Whatever it is, like you can literally do kind of a pre-launch strategy on Facebook and announce that you're going to be launching. You have your new person announce that they're going to be launching this business, and you could be there to do the Facebook Live with them. So you're still involved in that process, because them going on, especially if they've never done a Facebook Live and trying to do it all on their own, is it's an intimidating strategy especially for a brand new person. So bottom line for me when it comes to launching a new person is making them feel super comfortable, helping them get armed with whatever the resources that they need, their website, their tools, making sure that they know what those are, making sure that they are in alignment with what their goals and objectives might be and how much time they're able to commit to it. I want to have kind of sit down strategy session with the person and just have a chat. Like, so what do you want to do? Do you want to go slow? Do you want to go medium? Do you want to go fast? What times do you have available? I want to make myself available to that new person. And then it's literally hands-on. Like, I will work with the person, because if you're working with the person, they're going to get it done. If you just say, go, report back to me and tell me, how many people you called, they may not call anybody because they're intimidated. But if you can help them get through the first 10, 15, 20, 30 reach outs or even more, they're going to feel much more comfortable because you've been there to guide them through that experience. And again, your whole objective is to be hands-on and to work with these people to help them get going. Look, they just gave the company money. They flagged themselves by raising their hand saying, hey, I'm ready to go. Now, we have to match up them putting the money into the company with their efforts, because sometimes we'll sign people up and then even if I say, look, I'll come over to your house on Tuesday night, let's make some phone calls. Oh, I can't do it Tuesday. And then they keep putting you off. Well, there's a person who gave the company money and they're clearly not ready. So time for you to maybe go sponsor another person who is ready. And when they decide that they're ready and they want to actually engage, because sometimes we enroll people and they don't do anything, even if we're willing to work with them and help them do what we do in this business. So again, I'm a big fan of hands-on, working with them. See, I don't know if you can see this in the background here. There's this big giant crystal here. So I picked that up recently when I was on a little trip in California, and you can't really see it very well in the camera, but there's a wooden base. And that was just a crappy looking piece of wood that we found at a lumber yard, and my friend and I carved it out, sanded it for like 16 hours over 2 days, put this beautiful wax on it, and we took this awful looking piece of wood and turned it into an amazing piece of art that I can, keep this giant crystal on in my back right here. So now, why am I sharing that? Because I had somebody that was literally, like, if I took that piece of wood, I'm not a woodworker, but I was with a friend of mine who's a brilliant master woods craftsman. And so we did it together. We literally were sanding, grinding, cutting together. And if I had to go do it again, now that we did it together the first time, I can do that with another piece of wood. But even if I had the tools, I had the saw, I had the grinder, I had the sander, I had all these things, it would never have turned out the way that thing did, because I didn't know how to do it. So when you have some experience and you're bringing somebody in who has no experience, they have to lean on your experience to be able to be comfortable in going out and doing what they do in the future in your network marketing business. So another part of it is also, and I'll just say this as I wrap this up, is making sure that you help them to create a positive product experience. Now, they may have already been on your product for a little bit, which is great. Maybe they just signed up in the business and they're starting on the product today. So your other objective here is to make sure that they are consistently taking whatever products or services that you market, so they're creating their own personal experience story that they can then use in the future, because at this point it's not habit for them, it's brand new. And there's a tremendous amount of communication that takes place over the first 30, 60, 90 days. You're very likely with your new people going to be talking to these people every day, if not at least multiple times a week through their first 30, 60, 90 days. Not that you would not talk to them after 90 days, but the amount of communication, regular communication that you're going to have with these people is very, very regular, probably daily. And it involves helping them have a great product experience, helping them have super clarity on what they need to do, what are the main roles and responsibilities, making sure that they're comfortable doing those things, giving them something. For example, I've got like products like the little black book of scripts, for example, which is like, an 80-page script book and approaches for every possible situation you'll find yourself in. But if it was a brand new person, I'm not going to hand them the script book because it's too many scripts. So give them, a simple approach or two. In fact, this book right here, Fearless Networking, if you don't have it, I give you this is a great fundamental getting started book. So if you don't own this, you can grab it on my website. Maybe I'll probably have my web guide. Hey, in fact, my web guide, put the link in here for the book so they can grab it for free. You just pay shipping and handling on it. But that's something that if you don't have would be a valuable thing. In fact, even I have teams that buy this book and give it out brand new to their team members. I have network marketing companies that buy that book and put it in their distributor kit because it's a very, very powerful, simple, fundamental training on how to do the basic things that we do every single day in network marketing. So look, you got to be involved with the people that are getting started, right? So it's not sign them up and then, hey, point your finger and then, report back to me later. It's all about engagement. It's all about being involved with these people, making sure that they're armed, that they're ready, that they feel comfortable with their decision, and that you're helping them by working with them to create success, not sending them on their way and hoping that they're actually going to do something. So I think your involvement with them is going to be the greatest differentiator in people that either create success or end up the clock ticks down to zero and then they quit and they cancel their auto ship, for example. So I'm not sure where you're catching me, whether you're catching me on YouTube or you're watching me on my main website, toddfalcone.com, or maybe you're listening on my podcast, but wherever you're catching this, you can go over to toddfalcone.com/episode 19. That's TODDFALCONE.com/episode 19. You can get the full episode, including all the rest of the information that comes along with this. And while you're there, check out the Network Marketing Mastery section. There's some free downloads for you, some resources that'll help you become a better, more proficient network marketer. So that's it for today's episode, my friends. Hope you're having an amazing day. We will see you next time.